for those of you in other parts of the world who it is not quite New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve for, hello and welcome. Change of camera location today, a bit of switch up. We are again working on a few bits and pieces, but as we all know, it's Christmas time, and previously we were working on when my brain catches up with myself, the Vanguard, which weren't actually Vanguard vets. They're, once I get it right, they jump pack assault Space Marines. So they are as they are. There is definitely some touch-ups to be done. I've done a little bit of painting of the sword offline, changed it up a little bit. His rim was painted, but I've also started on cleaning up a few bits and pieces here with the actual backpacks or jet engines of these. My brain really doesn't want to operate right now. Crisis suits. I also touched up slightly the white on the crew top, so I can go ahead and start painting in those colours. But yeah, right now we will jump into it. We've got a few bits and pieces to try and get done. So yeah, let's rip in. We will start with the black on the barrels of the plasma guns, which is pretty simple. It's going to be nice and easy, straightforward. Just a couple of layers of black, but because there's a few, at least it gives us something to do. We'll also get through a few bits and pieces and feel like we're accomplishing shitloads. What does everyone wish they want or they get for Christmas? Anyone got any Christmas wishes, Christmas desires that they're looking for? Let us know. I hope everyone is having a good Christmas Eve and get through these guns pretty quickly, hopefully. But yeah, looking forward to Christmas. I'm on annual leave from my day job, so there may be a few more videos go up. I'm not sure. I've got to figure out what I'm doing. Definitely need to have a look and see what's available tomorrow on, later on my friendly local game stores website, because they have a very good deal on Christmas with some good discounts on Warhammer guff across the country, which is just Victoria in Australia. They have usually about 50% off on Boxing Day store-wide, and that then counts everything, and you can order online, and it does apply to online, and you can also have it shipped to yourself or to your closest guff store if it's at a different guff location, which is what I normally tend to do, has to have stuff shipped to my closest store. And the boys there will send me a text and say, hey, your shit is in. Your bits and pieces. But yeah, I have to figure out what I want and convince Mrs. Red that it is acceptable for me to have those items. But yeah, as I was saying, just getting through some painting on these guns, painting the black on. It's a nice, simple, easy job. So I thought I'd get it done tonight. So I hope everyone's said it is Christmas Eve for myself. So if you are in Australia, Merry Christmas. I hope you have picked out and gotten, hopefully, we'll get tomorrow, all the things you're after for your hobbying, be it paints or extra miniatures. If that's the case, that is the case. But yeah, we're just doing a little painting here. for tonight. Get a bit done, and hopefully that will be that. I'll be off, and well, yeah, tomorrow I might get a little bit more done. I don't know yet, but the plan is to try and get a couple more painting sessions in over the next week or so, maybe, if I'm lucky. I've got next weekend as well. Oh, sorry, this coming weekend I should be able to get another day in, hopefully, another night of a fair bit of painting. It's kind of warmer weather, so I really want to get some of this stuff done. I really need to be honest, drag the camera out to out the back where I tend to glue my miniatures, and get back into some more building videos, so that I'm out of the office, which is not really where I want to be gluing from anymore, because I get in a little bit of trouble. And I do agree, it does after a while. When you're in somewhere that's not ventilated, the glue smell can definitely start to send you loopy. And I'll definitely admit that it does send me slightly loopy. But it is what it is. But yeah, so we're just painting away. My shitty painting skills. Well, it is technically what we would call the old slap chop method. I've primed, and I'm using contrast paint to help get down, well, as my base coat over a. Luckily, this is, as I said, I've primed in a white, which is Vallejo's white. Very nice color. I like the way it comes across. It's a very good white, so just get that done. But yeah, as you can see, we've got some, and as you can see here, we've finished on the legs, so being neatened up and then dry brush silver. So all the legs are done. They're out of my way. I've got a couple of arms that are complete because I don't have to do much to them. I may actually go through and put some silver on those little buttons there just to break it up slightly. But yeah, we've that quickly got a coat, and just touching it up on everything, one coat, and we'll give it a chance to dry. One of the bloody, as you can see, broke off, which is a pain in the rear end. So I'll have to fix that down the track. But yeah, there's those bits and pieces. We'll get in, we'll change brushes, and we'll get into a different colour, different situation. The plan is to try and finish off this as well. So we'll go in with the Abaddon Black base and end up most likely, as you can see, it's nice and thick. I might actually run the vortex mixer over it again, so excuse the noise. But yeah, the old vortex mixer does its job. We'll get in and we might just whack some of this, as I said, Abaddon Black, and I've got it on as much of this as I can, and I'll just try and touch up a few spots where, as you can see, they haven't quite finished on that set of tracks. So let's get into it. Let's finish up this set of tracks, and then we can start working on other parts. And as you probably can see, that on the smokestacks on the side of the Predator, I've actually gone ahead and painted them in like a bronze, very light bronze color. So they are actually done, and to be honest, I think the color came out all right. I'll be able to whack some stuff in there and just give it a bit of a touch up with some color, make it different. Like Luckily it's dried nicely, but yeah, let's get all this painted in here so it looks like the tracks are dark and done. And, there we go. But yeah, sorted. I probably don't need to worry about painting the inside of the track line, to be honest, given the fact that the model sits flat on the table. No one's really gonna, most likely shouldn't notice. So we'll just get in and we'll work our way around on this actual track here. Try not to make sure we don't take paint off or go over the lines per se, because I don't really want to be doing that. And just, get in, make sure we're getting all this, this black filled in, make it look dull in there so that no one wants to spy a look. That might not look so shitty, but it did come a slightly heavy prime, I will say that. Being a resin, 3D printed resin tank, I was, once it didn't come out as clear and crisp as we'd hoped for, but we're not going to complain. We're not here to complain. Here to paint, and we got one. We got a Demios, technically pattern Predator, so something different. Looks like a Predator. It's got the weapons of a Predator. So as far as I'm concerned, I think people should not worry too much if I try and play it as a Predator. Not going to find too many issues, but I am glad that I have taken the time to paint the sucker, because it does feel somewhat accomplished. Painting it feels like you're getting somewhere when you paint something like this. So yeah, again, it's kind of like when you paint one of your big tanks, you feel pretty good about it. Think you've done a great job. Whether you actually have or not, it's another story, another kettle of fish. But we won't. Not judging here at the moment. No judgment, because everyone is capable of doing the best they can, and that's the way I like it to be. I don't bang on anyone about their painting skills, because everyone is at different stages in their abilities, and I'm a firm believer of positivity. Spreading that positivity and being as kind and as generous to each other in terms of when we're painting stuff as possible, so that people feel comfortable to continue painting and sharing their journey with everyone, be it whether like I am, this terrible painting journey that I'm on, terrible skills, it's really for me, it's really all about the community and how much fun it is to paint, share painting stories, videos, have a laugh, enjoy life. So, but yeah, I'm just getting some of this done. I don't know how long. I might just make this one a short video today. Work on this, and then I might actually just film some off-camera collection, offline content that I can post. But yeah, as we go through, we just keep working our way along. And yeah, as I keep saying, like, people should be able to paint however they want, whenever they want, and excuse me. Oh, that's me, bugger. Wow, that was terrible. That can't be edited out because it was live. People should be able to paint however they want, whenever they want, without any, ramifications or whatnot. So, but yeah, I definitely know that I asked. Oh, I've just grabbed hold of that straight across the bloody tracks and Lord paint off it like a absolute genius. I know that I asked Santa Claus for some of those Army Painter speed paint pens because I would love to give them a run and see if they're actually good. See whether they're worth it money wise, whether they make a difference to painting ability, which I don't know. I think that's possibly not going to happen. But I want to try them for the sheer fact of the matter of it. They are something different, and I like the idea of being able to take a texture style and something and paint with it without any real issues. It definitely will open up the game, I think, for a lot of people in terms of how they paint, because all of a sudden you've got an item that is easier to hold on to for some people. Texture may be the thing that is going to take people from not painting to painting. It may also be the medium that really helps push that person from, what they consider to be awesome, like to the next level of painting, because it just changes the game for them in terms of being able to paint with something different. But yeah, I really think that it's going to be an interesting Christmas. I hope that I actually do get what I asked for, because that'd be great. We do in our family what we call Kris Kringle. Everyone gets someone selected for them, and you spend roughly $100, give or take, as close to that as possible. My parents always, when they get someone, they go bloody overboard. They're nutcases. They're absolutely nutcases when you do Kris Kringle. You're like, come on guys, you'll slow down. They're like, nope. This is the way it's got to be. We've got to spend this much money, and we want Christmas to be awesome, and you want Warhammer. Well, that's something, but it's not very one thing for that price, and so they go on about spending more and more, and it's great for me. I will say, not complaining. I'm very grateful for my parents. I'm very grateful for my family, for Mrs. Redblurr. There's a lot of people out there who don't have it that well, and I know that. I work in a industry now where I deal with people in that situation where they're not really going that well. And so, I'm appreciative of everything that I've actually got and how fortunate I am with stuff. So, yeah, one of those. There we go. As you can see, got that rim completely painted, so I'll just get the black out of that brush a little bit and move on. I'm going to just possibly pause for a second if I can, otherwise excuse the fact that I'm about to blow my nose. So I'll run away for a moment. Jesus. Sorry, everyone. And yeah, that's sorted and out of the way. We can look at some other bits and pieces. As I said, I've got the brass out and put that away. We've got some silver here, which we might go in and paint the base, a couple of these things. This guy's basically done. I do have to go over his shoulder panels with the Retributor, so let's get that on a small brush because it makes it a hell of a lot easier. And we'll actually start working on getting that on there better and making sure that he has got the right silver can go away. That'll be done shortly. He has got the right amount of gold on his arm panel. There we go. Looks like we're going to get somewhere with this because it is a lot more solid than what I think the previous guy I tried to run on these. Gold I tried to put on them, I should say, actually. As you can see, it's sticking on there a lot better. And surprisingly enough, I'm being very smooth with my brush movements. Somehow I'm not. Let's not talk about that anymore. We'll switch off talking about smoothness of brush movements because as soon as I start talking about that, I'm guaranteed to make an absolute blunder and a half and just absolutely pencil this like there's no tomorrow. But this is part of the reason why I would love to try these Army Painter speed paints to see whether or not, for instance, a gold like I'm using now, how well it would really work with a texture paint. You know, texture, being able to paint that straight line, whether or not it really was straight, but being able to paint that particular part or item or, you know, whatever with a marker that may be a little bit easier to control. And as you can see, I have actually gotten around most of that quite well, apart from a few bits and pieces where I'm a little bit. I'm going to need the goggles. I need the goggles. I've got goggles out. There we go. Apart from a couple of bits and pieces where I need to work it, and we know that that is part of that is there. I'm not going to draw on his face, hopefully, because I did try and draw eyes in on this beaky helmet, which I had a few of those stashed away for, you know, a later date. When I got around to building certain models, I had certain helmets stashed away so that I could, you know, really use something different to tell a story. I probably should go ahead and paint a few more bits and pieces, but I might switch to silver for some of the stuff that I am going to paint on there. And that was just to try and fix up his silver, his gold, I should say. But the plan would be to just get some silver on some of this gun, just to break it up, maybe on the Dark Angel's banner across the butt of his sword. Bit of red on the, where is it? There it is. There on the fist and base red. Shake the shit out of that. Oh, jack off noises. No, not Emperor's Children. They are actually Dark Angels. And technically they would be classified as Coward Wardens, because Coward Wardens were purple and gold for Dark Angels. a faction or a chapter or secondary chapter that's not very well known for Dark Angels. I don't think many people play it, but yeah, let's get got some red, get that around, and Landon Klein. Jesus Christ, I can read today. Thank you for your question. I hope you're going well. Merry Christmas. But yeah, something different. I've got a whole bunch of Ravenwing that are also similar coloured. There we go. Let's fix that slightly. Get rid of that. But yeah, Dark Angels supposed to be technically Coward Wardens because of the colours. They could also be stuff like Angels of Redemption because they don't have a colour palette, even though they're one of the lost legions of Dark Angels. Weren't classified as Fallen. Technically, they possibly were all culled during the Horus Heresy. All lost to the warp, and no one knows where they ended up, the little buggers. But yeah, something different than regular Dark Angels as per, I didn't want to paint them green and whatnot. I do have some Dark Angels I got Deathwing wise off a friend from my friendly local game store, and they are definitely all proper Deathwing Knight colours. I've got 2 Land Raiders and a Vindicator in the same colour, Deathwing Knight's colour pattern. That is good value. They were good. They're good models, well painted by Damo. He did an amazing job. But yeah, just getting a little bit of detail work done on some of these guys, well, especially this guy at the moment, because he is the most complete out of all of them. He was the one that I actually spent time on painting before I stopped painting these particular models for tournament, which I played out a few years ago. So yeah, I'm just gonna give a bit of well, this is actually technically 40k. I've got I played about 5 tournaments total. Company of Hunters was my best result. I went 4-1 at one tournament, and then turned around the next tournament and went fucking 1-4 with the exact same list. Which was a little bit frustrating. I think that for the first time I played into armies that really suited my list fighting into. Because I was dealing with a lot of vehicles and whatnot, so that helped. But yeah, when you're punching up against stuff that is possibly, not really where your army is designed for. Space Marines are good at killing Space Marines, and that's what my problem was. But yeah, sorry, the concentration face. You probably can't see it, but you can hear it when I go dead quiet. As I'm trying to get silver where I want it without actually getting outside the lines per se, because I hate having to do touch-ups. Drive me goddamn insane. But it is what it is, and also I'm trying to learn to paint. I've got some towel, I've got dark houses, I've got dark angels painted company funders to be a bit more expansive / try to paint more on the model to make it better looking rather than just like chopping into bits and being like, that's done. Tapped out. I'm finished with that. But I probably need to get back into actually putting the next lot of, as you can see when I pull the boys in, colours on these guys. So the backpacks are, half done. Armour panelling's half done. I've got 4 of them total. Some of them have had a little bit like second lot of black possibly gone on the backpack there. I've still got armour. I've got to paint purple again. I've got a little bit further around the black there, and then we've got this has got to be touched up again. I've had to fix up a few spots where the blue got into the beige colour I used, which was, I'm pretty sure it was that. From memory, looks like the right colour. Let's try it. Let's see what happens when we put it down. Maybe not. Oh well. This might actually be an interesting kettle of fish type scenario where I've changed colours unintentionally and made it better or possibly made it worse. I'm just trying to neatly get into those areas without making too much mess. But it also might allow me to run in with a second colour over the top of what I previously put down, and get some different colour balancing happening. As you can see there, as I run the brush across the midsection. It might actually come out in a better colour than what I really had on it originally, given the palette change. So let's get that down and hope that, that actually works. We do have to go in and put some leather colours down on a few bits and pieces. Which will be a little bit of fun. I think I actually need to go up into that section just there. There we go. Oh. Get it on his jewel, that's the way. I find putting stuff like these crew tops together quite fiddly and frustrating when you go to paint, because when you want to put the paintbrush doesn't want to go. No matter what size paintbrush you use, I'm using a contrast paint, thankfully, but it just goes everywhere you don't want it to. Like everywhere. Look at that. I've got paint all over his jawline. I might actually leave that. That's yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't mind the lion. I definitely am partial because I've got Azrael. I play him in my detachment. I do also have Tau and I have Farsight, and while he's away at the moment, I don't have him out. I definitely am very overly partial to Farsight because of his just how cool he looks, the whole storyline. I love the fact that he's an angry little man. Cracked it with the Imperium. Yeah, cracked it with the Imperium per se. Doesn't want to have a bar of what they're doing. Not the Imperium. With the greater good, run off on his own. Like he has some cool things that he's done, or that is being done in terms of what he's up to. That's too small of a brush. So yeah, I'm kind of partial to Farsight as probably my favourite character. And the new model that came out, mine's actually a friend of mine painted it for me, and he actually looks like Darth Vader. So my army for my tower are very snow themed, as you probably could tell by the white suits I've got here, the white with the black heads. You're supposed to look like some sort of stormtrooper per se. So that's the end goal, or the end game for those guys, and that was the whole point. They look like that because they're supposed to be stormtroopers, and I thought it was hilarious. Not to mention they shoot just as well as stormtroopers do sometimes, which is somehow the Tau way. It's either hot as hell or it's absolute garbage. We know stormtroopers are the same. They can be literal garbage, or they could be absolute marksmen, and that does tend to frustrate me quite somewhat. I'm gonna leather the shit out of these. Here he is. Mate, are you up at 5 a.m. again? You absolute maniac. If you're up at 5 a.m., go back to bed. There is you should be on holidays, and there is no reason why you should be up at 5 a.m. on your holidays. You're a bloody maniac. And yes, Merry Christmas to you. We are in front, but I'm not bragging. We will hit Christmas Day before you do over there in the US of A. You maniac. You're probably on a touch late, to be honest. I'm getting ready to jump off. A friend of mine, one of the boys from Redblurr Gaming, is actually wanting me to get online on the old PlayStation and play some Diablo 4. It's what we've been into again at the moment. We were playing an absolute buttload of Space Marine 2, but yeah, just the times have changed slightly. We've gone back to Diablo. I don't know why I'm being precious with this. That's fair. That's the way it is. I want you to not get any sleep on my account. Like, geez. But if that's the way you run it, that is the way you run it. You maniac. But yeah, so just cruising along here, getting a little bit of leather on this snakebite contrast. Oh, it's kind of lovely. I haven't played it for a while. It's one of those things that comes and goes on the PlayStation. A bit like Star Wars or Pokemon on the Switch. It'll go in. I've got Hogwarts Legacy as well at the moment. I've been giving that a nudge. Thoroughly actually enjoying that. I think they did a bloody amazing job with that game. So yeah. But I'm just trying to, without getting too far away from or over the edge of what I'm trying to paint, I'm just trying to get some leather colour onto this, so it actually looks like I've been somewhat productive for once. I've got a little bit done off camera today with the crisis suits, a little bit of painting done, a bit like the jump pack assault guy. They're not assault intercessors, they're something else, but they're I call them Vanguard Vets, but they're not. It's the old school assault Space Marines with the jump packs. And I painted that guy's sword today and his eyeballs. Now I'm just getting some of this stuff painted just quickly before I disappear for the night. And hopefully over the next couple of days, as I said, there'll be a few more bits and pieces of footage go up, because I really got to paint more. I need to get into Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm not actually gonna doubt that. It's one of those games, a bit like the old Diablo 2, or Diablo 2, Diablo 3. It had so many mods. You could make every creature Diablo. You could I think it was Diablo 2 actually. You could make every creature Diablo. You could give yourself like constant legendary drops. It was absolutely hilarious, the shenanigans you could come up with on that game, and the amount of mods that people put out for it as well. It was just like, people need to calm their farms, because these mods are good, but I just don't know if they were. Oh, they didn't ruin the game. It was just entertaining. You just, once you've beaten a game, yourself, once you've beaten Skyrim once, it's kind of becomes, beating it again doesn't have the same kind of feel. But I think what comes down to that kind of, when you're doing that with games, is whether it changes the entertainment factor, whether it gives the game a longer lifespan for you. So it makes it more entertaining, because, hey, look, there's more random shit we can do. That's what I'm like. That's cool with mods. I think that's always good. When you really get some extra enjoyment out of a game, or mods prolong a game, and it's how much it's played, then to me, that's, especially those older PC games, I think it really works well. New people come to a game because they find it, because it's full of mods. The older people who used to play it get back into it again because there's new people playing it, because they've just discovered it for the first time and they're discovering all the mods. So it's just one of those things where mods can actually be quite handy for prolonging the life of a game. Be a little bit careful, yeah. I'm gonna bloody end up putting leather where I haven't got anything at all, which might ruin what I'll try and do next, which is try and figure out how to get bloody blue on this idiot's head. Without destroying how much I have to paint on it. They're quite, I was saying before, they feel quite fiddly when I'm trying to paint it, because you can't get rid of the rider. The rider's in a slightly terrible spot to a degree. We could run around here now, actually, to be honest, and paint this belt. Yeah, 100%. That's what I was getting at. That when you get a good mod and it really changes the play style, or it gives you something new to do, it's just like, well, this just opens up a whole new kettle of fish. Like, it's just that whole new, well, what can I do now? What can I change in this game to make it more enjoyable for me? And hey, look, now instead of getting only, maybe the base amount of hours out of the game because I played it, I finished it, I completed it. Well, now I'm playing this game for another, 40 or 50 hours because, hey, it's got all these mods that are now getting used, now able to be accessed. I got some colour on that bloody thing accidentally. He's part of his leg. But, just going around and touching. To be honest, this is probably the most I've put on this little guy for a little while, so it's actually come along quite quickly. As I said, I've got to figure out how to paint all of this. I might paint his whole head blue, and then go back and try and figure out what I'm going to do with the quills. I didn't do it here. I might have to fix it up. See what I can do with those quills in terms of painting them. But around down here, I can go in and I fixed these today because they were bloody half blue. So I tried to touch them up so they were a little bit white. Go in and actually get these painted, which means I can actually run. Nice. Which is good because that's what I was saying. It's what Diablo 2 kind of turned into when they brought in all those extra mods you could do, and the changing of things where you could make every enemy character Diablo, which bloody made everything more like harder nearly. You run around a corner and here you got still like 10 Zekrom. You've got 10 Diablos just charging at you, and you're like, how am I supposed to kill this idiot? Question is, am I painting these? Yeah. Paint most of these leather coloured, except for that last one. I'm going to paint it. I reckon I'm going to go silver. Just to break up the colours slightly. But yeah, I'll just do this, and then, as I say, I'm probably going to end up jumping off because one of the other boys from the group is on my case. I use my phone to record. He's messaging me, and I can't actually see it because I'm interacting with you guys via the tablet, so I can see what's going on, because it's a little bit hard to correspond while I'm live streaming via the phone, because that's what I'm using. I probably need to go ahead and ask for some actual better camera equipment to that would be cool. That would be real cool, actually. Getting someone to make mods that resemble, Warhammer inside of Skyrim, or even like inside of Diablo. That'll make it so much cooler. That'll make it too cool. Too cool for school. But yeah, no, I know what you mean, man. It's that'll be awesome, to be honest, when you think about it. Like the amount of mods that are out there, the amount of people that make mods. Like, surely someone's gone, I should do this, or how hard is it to do that per se. And maybe that's what we'll get down the track. We'll get lucky and we'll get someone who does that kind of mod. Yes, Barbarian goes Bert. They have in Diablo 4 just added the Paladin subclass, which has been a godsend for me because that's all I ever played in Diablo 2. Diablo 3, I played the Crusader a shitload if I wasn't playing the Barbarian, because yes, Barbarian goes Bert. But they definitely, Diablo 4, the skill sets are definitely different in terms of how Whirlwind works. So it makes it a lot harder to actually optimize a Whirlwind built Barbarian, because it doesn't run the same as the the old school barbarian would on Diablo. Yeah, well, the Pally was really the Crusader on 3. They didn't have a Paladin class um, on 3. That was the Crusader. I logged like fucking 800 hours on that game. I'm going to tell you that I'm almost very close on Diablo 4 on the PlayStation to logging almost that many hours as well. But yeah, he's coming along nicely. I've got paint all over my hands. But guys, look, I said it before, I'll say it again. I appreciate everyone who drops in, says g'day, and stops by. We've got a bit of painting done. Not going to complain about that. But yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun. I'll wish everyone a Merry Christmas and hopefully see you between now and the new year. But for now, I'm going to run away so that I can go and play some Diablo now that we're talking about it. Thank you all for stopping by and have a good Christmas. Bye, guys.